Okay, this video is for the multi-view of drawing the guide. So here's the guide from set 1. We are given the top view and we're giving the right side view. Our width is 5 1/4, our depth is 2, and our height is 2 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of leave this like this and get this to be the other half of my screen. So you can see I've got my wedge set 1. I'm going to go ahead and put my guide right next to it. I'll just kind of slide this off the screen and I can move it all later. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with a rectangle. Actually, I'm going to make sure I'm on the proper layer. I want to be on my object layer. So currently I'm on the centerline layer. I want to be on the object layer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with rectangle. Draw a rectangle out that is 5.25 by 2 inches. And there's my top view. I'm going to draw a line straight down that's 1 inch. Come over the same width, because remember the top view and the front view have the same width. Go ahead and click. Come down the same height of 2 1/2. Come over to here. Click, click. And again, this was just a placeholder to make sure my space between views was 1 inch. And there's my placeholder for my front view. Same thing for my right view. I'm going to draw a line over 1 inch. Go straight up. Put my cursor there for a second. Get that line. Come over my depth of 2. Come down. Put my cursor there for a second. Get that green dash line. Click. Close this off. And delete that. And now I have my front view, my right view, and my top view blocked out. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is, since I drew this as a rectangle, I'm going to explode this. Oh, that was the wrong button. I'm going to explode this so I get this, instead of one object, it will turn this into 4 separate lines. So explode is right here. Now it's 4 separate lines. And the reason why I need to do that is I'm going to offset this line right here 2 5/8. Here's the offset button. Click on that. 2-5 divided by 8. Enter. I'll click on this line here and I'll click right there. That is now 2 5/8. If you want to add those dimensions, I think that's probably a good idea. I can click on dimension, and I can dimension from here to here. And I can dimension from here to here, so you can see both of those. By the way, if yours is not on fractional like mine, you have to hit D, enter. Go to modify, and go to the primary units tab, and choose fractional. That's the only change that I've made to my dimensions. Okay, so everything is A-OK. Obviously, my dimensions here, I would want them to be on the proper layer, so I would want to put those on dimensions. I can do that now, or I can do that later. It's not really that big of a deal. Okay, so you can see my top view and my top view are exactly the same. Everything's good. I'm going to work on my right view next. So you can see that this starts at 5/8 up from the bottom. I'm going to use the same tool here, offset 5/8, and I'm going to offset this bottom line up. I don't need this line going across, but I need this point right here. So I'm going to start my line right here at this point. By the way, if ortho is on, this does not work. So I need to hit F8, and now I can get my line to move. Okay, so I can see that my line, I'm going to draw my line longer than what I needed. So I'm going to draw my line at roughly 5, and I'm going to hit tab so I can get to the angle. You can see the angle over here says 60 degrees. So let me type in 60 and see what happens. And I'll hit tab. And you can see it's going at a very strange angle. That's not right. That's because it's 60 from here to here. It's not 60 from here to here. Okay, it's really only 30 from there. So I hit tab to get back, and I put in 30, and that looks more correct. And now I can hit enter. And now you can see that this line is way too long, so I need to trim it off. TR, enter, enter. Make sure you hit enter twice. Trim that off, and now I no longer need this line right here anymore. That was just a placeholder. Okay. I'll go ahead and add a dimension from here to here. Bring that 5/8 out just like it shows right there. And then I want to add the 60 degrees as well. So again, here, if yours might say linear right there, change this to angular. Okay. So I click here and I click here, and that should say 60 degrees right there. The only problem is these are both on the object layer. You can select them both. Go to your layers, change it from object layer to dimension layer. Again, you could do that now, or you could do that at the end, but make sure you get them on the right layer. Okay. The last thing, the other dimension that I would want to put on there is I would want the height on there, and I could put that on this side. We'll talk about how to properly dimension stuff later. But that should be there as well. And again, this should be on the dimension layer. Okay. I guess while we're at it, we might as well put this guy on here as well. Okay, layers, dimension, and that's good. Okay, the hardest part of this is figuring out what does the front view look like. I'll tell you, if I don't see this a lot of times, what I do is I project lines that are there. So like this line here, I'm going to project this line here straight down. I may project this line straight over. Oops, not like that. I may project this line straight over. Okay, because I'm not exactly sure what this looks like, and I may project this point straight over. And I've got to figure out what exactly does this look like. Hopefully for many of you, this this isometric view helps you to understand what's going on. So here's what this would look like. Obviously the top, nothing's going on. So I can trim off this, and I can trim off this, and that is what the front would look like. You can see I should have kind of like a little L. So I can see that little L right there. Look, there's no line right there. So I would want to trim this off as well. So now you can see that L. The other thing is this goes in the back, but we're not going to be able to see it slant. But it's lower over here than it is up here. So that means that this would get trimmed off right here. This would get trimmed off right here. And this would look something like this, except this line would actually go up here. And then this line would get trimmed off right here. So it would look something like that. Then the only other thing I have to do is trim off this line here, trim off this line here, and delete that line right there. So I have to clean off all the areas where I projected, and this would be my front view. Okay? We'll make sure all of our dimensions are there, and we should be good. So my total height is there, my total width is there, my total depth is there, the angle is there, which gives me the height of this point, and where the angled line, this line here starts, the 5/8 is there. So I have all of the dimensions that I need. So I'm done with my front view, my right view, and my top view. The only thing that I would need now is my isometric view, and I will do that in the next video.